Welcome to Daily Wisdom, Walking the Path with the Buddha, a podcast shared by David Roylance. This podcast is dedicated to guiding you to completely eliminate the discontent mind and the suffering it causes by attaining enlightenment. Learn and practice the teachings of Gautama Buddha that will guide you to fully attain a peaceful, calm, serene, and content mind with joy. To support this podcast, visit patreon.com/supportbuddha or visit buddhadailywisdom.com, where you will discover a full range of courses, retreats, and online learning resources to assist you on the path to enlightenment. Now, here's our teacher to share more.
Sawadee-kap. Hello and welcome to Daily Wisdom, Walking the Path with the Buddha. Today is our group learning program, and what I'll be doing is guiding you in a breathing mindfulness meditation and then opening up to any and all questions that you'd like to ask about the path to enlightenment. Usually in this program on Sundays, I'm going chapter by chapter in this book, Developing a Life Practice, The Path That Leads to Enlightenment. And this Sunday, we're going to be in chapter 17, which is titled Eliminating Fears. Are you really scared? That's where I'm going to be helping you to understand how to eliminate your fears. But today, it's all about breathing mindfulness meditation and guiding you in this practice. And as I mentioned, after the meditation, I'll be opening up to any and all questions that you might have related to the path to enlightenment. So I'd like to welcome you, whether you're joining for the first time or you've been joining regularly, and at the same time invite you to join for meditation. If you'd like to take a position, either seated, lying, or standing, these tend to work really good for online learning. There is also a walking position, but usually for online learning, seated, lying, and walking works best. I'm going to ease us into meditation with some chanting, then I'm going to come in with some guidance. There'll be a period of time where it'll just be quiet, we'll be meditating together, and then we'll come out with the chanting as well. Keep in mind with these chants, there isn't anything mystical or magical. It's not a rite, a ritual, or a ceremony or worship. It's not prayer or anything like that. It's just to help ease the mind into meditation and get more benefit out of the meditation itself. So if you'd like to join, feel free to pull up a meditation cushion. Maybe you're sitting in a chair or on a bench or maybe a sofa or a wheelchair or something like that. I'll go ahead and ease in with chanting, which you're welcome to join if you know these chants, and then afterwards I'll come back in with some guidance. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Bhutang Bhagavanang Abhivateyami Savakhato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅkho Saṅghang Namami Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Iti piso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vicacaranang Sammuno Sakhato Rokavito anuttero purisa dhamma sati satatawa manusanam Bhoto Bhagavati. Okay, with the lower body and hands and arms comfortable, and the upper body erect, just close the eyes and start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Here you're just looking to establish the breath, a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. Not forced or controlled, just a gradual inhale through the nose, experiencing the full breath. And then, whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Your breath may not match up with the guidance that I'm providing, and that's okay. This is your practice. I'm just here for guidance. You can use this voice as a reminder that whenever you get to the next inhale, breathing gradually through the nose, developing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then, whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, experiencing the full breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the breath well established, start fixating the mind on the breath, either the sound of the breath coming into the nose or the sensation of air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. Fixate the mind on the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the mind fixated on the breath, whenever you notice that it moves off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. No need to observe the thought, label it, judge it, analyze it, or even try to figure out where it's coming from. Whenever you notice that the mind is moved off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I'm going to be quiet now and let you do this work of focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. You have nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. อะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธมะเกวาโพตังมะเกวันนังอภิวาเทมิสวากขาโตมหาเขวตาธัมโมธัมมังนามัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนมหาเขวโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจารณังสัมปุโนสกขาโตโรกาวิโตอนุเตโรปุริสาธัมมาสติสัตตาตาวามนุสนังพุทโธภะคะวะติ Okay, if you guys would like to slowly make your way out of meditation. Once again, welcome to all of you guys. Nice to see all of you guys here, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom, or maybe you're listening to this on the replay. Welcome to everyone. If you have questions about the path to enlightenment, whether it's about meditation or any other aspect of the path to enlightenment, like the Eightfold Path, the Four Noble Truths, the 5 Precepts, the ego, which we just talked about on Sunday, there's any number of topics that you might have questions about. And if you have any of those questions, you're welcome to ask them. You can put them into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom, or you can raise your hand electronically in Zoom and ask any and all questions that you like. So if you guys have questions, just let me know. Helena has a question here. Sawadee-ka, what's your memories of experiencing discontentedness like? How do you remember those feelings when you're not capable of feeling them anymore, perhaps as concepts? You'll remember what you experienced prior to enlightenment. You'll remember those things, but you just won't be affected by it. So all through my life, I experienced lots of troubles, lots of difficulties, lots of discontentedness, and I remember all of those things. And that's one of the motivators that motivate me to share the teachings, because I'm not interested in people in the world continuing to experience this over and over and over again, because there's an escape for it. It's kind of like if you've discovered the cure to cancer, what would you do with it? You would probably, give it away to everybody that you could to be able to help them as much as possible. Well, I feel like I've rediscovered something even more valuable than the cure to cancer, which is the cure to the discontent mind. And I remember all those experiences that I had in detail. Now that is what I use as content to be able to help my students. So when a student is struggling with something or they're experiencing something, there's a good chance that I experience that exact same thing or something very similar to it. So I'm able to relate to them and then explain to them how did I overcome it in order to then be able to help them to overcome it. So I remember these things. I remember discontentedness. You won't forget the things that you experienced in life. It's just that you won't have feelings about them. So like say, for example, if you were abused as a child, you will remember that that occurred by the time you get to enlightenment, but you won't be experiencing any kind of feelings related to it any longer. That's what happens in the unenlightened mind, is that the mind's holding on and clinging to this experience, and now they're forming feelings in the present moment based on something in the past or based on something in the future, right? So this is one of the things that the unenlightened mind can experience. But by the time that you've trained your mind and you've let all that go, you still remember these things, but it doesn't affect you any longer. Just like the teachings that it takes for you to get to enlightenment, you'll never forget those either. So I remember these things. I'm not sure what else you would like to ask there, Helena. What are your memories of experiencing discontentedness? Lots of discontentedness, lots and lots and lots and lots. Okay, so Julia has a question. I have trouble with sympathetic joy for people I do not like. How can I help overcome that? Thank you, teacher. So sympathetic joy is the opposite of jealousy and envy. Sympathetic joy is that joy for other success, even if you didn't contribute to it. So the way that you arise this is that whenever you're aware that the mind is jealous or envious, using your mindfulness or awareness of mind, you would like to cut that off and let that go. That's part of right effort, eliminating and abandoning unwholesome qualities that are arising. Then also applying right effort to bring in the sympathetic joy, arise that joy for other success. And you're not going to feel it in some cases as you're first developing it, because the mind's kind of like crusty a little bit, right? Like it just doesn't want to feel it. It's got this wall, right, between you and other people perhaps. And this is based in your craving, anger, and ignorance, or a knowing of true reality. So where you notice the jealousy and envy coming up, you knock that down by cutting it off and letting it go. And you may not even be able to do that yet because, you're just starting to train, Julia. I think it's been 4 or 5 months that you've been training with me. So in some cases, you're not going to be able to easily let that go. But more and more, you would like to cut that off and let it go, and then apply the effort to bring in the sympathetic joy. And in some cases, all you might be able to gather is just a smile, right? Like maybe somebody you don't really like at work comes over and tells you that they got a promotion, and all you can do is maybe smile, right? Or maybe you can just say, congratulations. And that's maybe all you can do in that situation. And you just chip away at it little by little by little by little. And each time you arise this sympathetic joy more and more. And remember, this is a mental quality that you're arising. So it's not a feeling, it's a quality. And by the time it's fully developed, you'll just have joy for others' success no matter what they do or no matter what you experience. You won't even have dislike towards others. But of course, that's going to take a lot of consistent training. So just use your mindfulness to be aware whenever unwholesome qualities are arising, cut those off and let them go, and then arise the antidote or the solution or the remedy. In this case, the remedy for jealousy or envy is sympathetic joy. And then there's some more here from Julia. I keep having feelings of deja vu at various times. Does that mean I've lived the same life or similar life before? Thank you. Deja vu is residual memories from past lives, and it doesn't mean that you've lived the exact same life, but whatever you're experiencing in terms of deja vu, which is you're doing something that seems utterly familiar, but you know that it wasn't in this life that you did that. This is your residual memories from your past lives. And what the Buddha does share is that anything that you experience that is either fortunate or unfortunate or misfortune, if you see other people experiencing certain fortune or certain misfortune, he says you've experienced these same things in the past. So whatever you're doing now, yeah, there could be a situation where you've done it in the past and that's the deja vu that you're experiencing. But that really doesn't do anything for you other than to confirm for you the cycle of rebirth so that you know that it's actually true. And there's other ways for you to confirm the cycle of rebirth too. But with the training that you have done, Julia, as the pollution's coming out of the mind, then there's more and more of these kinds of experiences that happen. Not only can you start having deja vu, but you might start experiencing communication from beings from other realms. You might start seeing beings from these other realms. You even start having more vivid memories than just deja vu. So these kinds of things happen, and it's normal. So you can just maintain your calmness and stability and just know that this is just a confirmation for you of past lives. And in some situations, you can see certain cravings that you had in a past life, and now you still have that craving, and that can be insightful for you to realize you've been struggling with this stubborn craving for a really long time, right? That's one of the ways that the Buddha describes craving, desire, attachment as stubborn. And it's important to remember that, because back to your other question about sympathetic joy, the reason why you can't feel sympathetic joy for people that you dislike is because of your cravings, desires, attachments. So the more you let go of those, the more you will have for other beings, the more you can arise this sympathetic joy. So as you're getting rid of these cravings, desires, attachments, this is going to help you to be able to then have this sympathetic joy and be able to function where you don't have dislike towards other beings. And as you're eliminating these pollutions, this is where you're now going to see certain things like this, like deja vu and other things that are going to start potentially being experienced. But you can just set it to the side and realize, like, okay, these cravings, they're challenging, they're difficult, and you need to just constantly, continuously work at it and look at it more as a challenge, because oftentimes the mind wants to be somewhere that it's not. Wherever you are on the path to enlightenment, because of the mind's cravings, it wants to be somewhere else, right? So if you have this certain craving that you have, the mind might be craving to get rid of that craving, right? So don't allow the mind to do that either. So wherever you are on the path, that's where you're at. And anytime the mind's trying to long and yearn and say, oh, I want to be here, I want to be there, I want to be here, just pull it back and be like, no, you're right here. This is where you're at. And just be joyful with where you're at. Be joyful with the journey. Be joyful with the challenges that you have, and just continue to work forward, because each one of those challenges can be really fun as you're approaching them. There's some more here from Julia. Sometimes I feel like I am working on juggling so many, I feel burnt out. How can I let go of this so I can recover and be free and focus on wholesome things like meditation more? Yeah, sometimes you realize there's so many cravings in your mind that you're working on so many of them at one time. And what you would like to do is pare that back. If you have like 2 or 3 maybe that you're really working with really closely, and you've got some others in your mind that you need to attend to at some point, but maybe you're just working with these 2 or 3 or maybe more. Over time, you'll be able to address more and more, but you really like to kind of hone it down to like 2 or 3 as you can build some success there, and see that as you apply the tools and techniques that the Buddha teaches you, as your mind's letting go and the cravings are eliminating, you can feel some success there. And you can be like, I understand the methodology now. Breathing mindfulness meditation, generosity, that's kind of training the mind and softening it up. Anytime the mind is experiencing discontentedness, you're cutting that off and letting it go. And then in some situations, you need to put the mind in the situation that it finds to be uncomfortable and that it's experiencing discontentedness, so that then it can trigger that craving and you have the opportunity to cut it off and cut it off and cut it off. So if you're managing 2 or 3, this is a good number to get started. And then as you get more and more comfortable with the methodology, you'll be able to kind of approach more than just 2 or 3, but that's plenty right there. And then you can just really knock those out and eliminate them more and more readily. Helena has more here. She just says, I understand, thank you. I really enjoy listening to audiobooks while simultaneously doing something boring, i.e. cleaning. I understand that it would be beneficial to stop indulging in this habit. Yes, because the reason why the mind's bored when it's doing something like cleaning is because there's a craving, there's a desire, there's attachment. You can't solve the boredom by covering that up with like an audiobook. So it's actually best to put your mind in that situation where you're doing just one thing at a time and just clean. And yeah, there's going to be some boredom, but you kind of push through that and you just focus and arise concentration for the cleaning that you're doing. So if you've got a toothbrush out and you're cleaning the tiles of your bathroom, just focus on that toothbrush and just be joyful and focusing on that cleaning with the tiles and the cracks of the tiles with your toothbrush, and just keep doing that. And you're going to need to do this regularly in order to train the mind to overcome whatever craving it's having for some kind of stimulation, because you can't eliminate the boredom by listening to an audiobook. That's just covering it up. That's just giving the mind what it wants, which is feeding the monster, feeding the craving. So if you are able to set aside the audiobook, set aside the music, and just do one thing like cleaning, then this will train the mind to let go of its craving. And it just takes a little bit of time and a certain number of sessions of the mind doing this before it'll finally let go and release that craving. Okay, let me see if we have any other questions here. Oh, here's some more coming in on Zoom. Helena says, thank you. Are there some people who haven't experienced countless animal rebirths? If so, why was their trajectory so unusual? I don't know this to be 100% sure. I would suspect that there are, because the universal truth of impermanence tells us that, but I haven't encountered anybody that hasn't. And, the Buddha, he experienced countless animal rebirths. I know that I experienced countless animal rebirths. I haven't talked to enough people about their past lives because this isn't really something that people really talk about, anything that's going to help others to get to enlightenment, other than the fact that I know with 100% certainty that the cycle of rebirth is true, and I can explain it, I can talk about it, I can look people in the eye and tell them exactly what I know about this. So it helps me from that standpoint that I've had these experiences and I can teach students about it. But in terms of talking to other people about their past lives, it doesn't really provide any benefit to me or to them. So it's not really something that people talk about. It's more something that you keep to yourself. But I suspect that there are people that haven't had countless animal existences. But these countless animal existences, they do condition the mind in a certain way, and that's why the unenlightened human mind tends to function as if it's an animal, even though we're in a human consciousness. But we can evolve beyond that, and that's the beauty of this path, is that you can see that your mind is evolving beyond that and becoming a better and better human being. And this is where life can become super enjoyable as the mind is experiencing more and more qualities of enlightenment and becoming this better and better human being. Okay, let me see if we have any questions on YouTube or Facebook. I was able to increase my font size on Zoom, and it makes it so easy for me to read. It's so lovely. The eyes are thanking you, Helena. Okay. All right, well, I don't see any other questions anywhere. So what I'm going to do is just thank all of you guys for joining. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your interest in learning and practicing the teachings of the Buddha. And at the same time, I'll just invite you to our future classes, because this group learning program meets every Sunday and Wednesday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Thai time. You're always welcome to join. I teach from the temple at 9 a.m. and then I teach from here at home at 9 p.m. And then we have classes and courses and retreats at other times as well that you guys are always welcome to attend. Tomorrow I'm going to be teaching what is Gamma and how does it affect me, what is merit, and continuing support on the path to enlightenment. And I'm going to be teaching about how to integrate the teachings of the Buddha into your life so you can get more and more benefits. That's all going to be from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Thai time from the temple, because I'm teaching a course right now. And then, of course, on Saturday, we have the Pali Canon and English study group that meets at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. And then we have retreats coming up. In September, I'm going to be in Mexico. In March, I'm going to be in California. Then we have a retreat coming up here in Thailand this month and another 2 weeks. And then we have another retreat in January. So our website has everything and all the details if you guys would like to access any of the learning opportunities, whether they're online or in person. So thank you all for joining, and perhaps we'll see you guys in another class. Be well and take care. Sawadee Kap.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. To provide support for this podcast, visit patreon.com/support Buddha. To access more teachings, visit buddhadailywisdom.com. There, you will discover a full range of courses, retreats, and online resources to assist you on the path to enlightenment. Remember to establish a daily, consistent meditation practice, along with learning and practicing these teachings. A well-developed meditation practice is the foundation in which to train the mind to attain enlightenment.